Hello, ladies and gents. I'm AJ, and you're listening to the Expert League, where we focus on growing our skills by learning from the experts. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys about a question that I received. So I decided to put together this little presentation, and I hope that it's helpful. All right. So today's question came from a good friend of mine, Ayana, and her question was, how can someone just getting started in their business build relationships with influencers to help grow their business? And you guys can check her out at Ayana. She's Ayana Richardson. And on Facebook, if you do a search for Solving for X, you can find her fantastic group there. So thank you, Ayana, for your question. So I wanted to put together this presentation on how to become a thought leader and help grow your brand by building relationships with influencers. So I think the first thing to understand in working with thought leaders is all thought leaders started from somewhere, right? And one thing that you have to understand as a or with the thought leaders, and these are things that I've learned and did research on, is when they're building their brand and they're building their business, they can't buy the brand loyalty. So how do you build brand loyalty? And this is on their behalf. They build brand loyalty by providing content that people are interested in seeing or things that people are interested in learning. So, as you can see, I have a big, bright picture of Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. Both of their stories are different, but they did the exact same thing coming from different parts of the country. Well, they're both from the South, but if you think about it, Tyler Perry had a love for film and TV. So what he did is he created his own lane by, creating his own show. And his character, Madea, was his primary character. And he traveled around the country building the Tyler Perry brand by doing plays as Madea. And people fell in love with the character Madea and the plays that he wrote. And, he started out with a very targeted audience. He did the plays that were specifically for that audience. And, before you know it, he went from being, traveling around the country in local theaters to being a primetime movie director, right? So again, Oprah Winfrey, very different story. She did hers through media, and when she started, she was just another talk show host. But she separated herself while everybody else was doing the garbage and the trash talk. She started focusing on uplifting people, right? So she differentiated herself from the market, and she too created her own lane by, featuring people who actually had things of value to share versus people getting on fighting and arguing and cussing with each other and making a spectacle of themselves. So that's one thing to understand about the thought leaders and the influencers is they built their brand loyalty, and that's not something that you can manufacture or buy. Another thing is it doesn't happen just because. I have some people that I work with, and one of the people that I met with the other day, she was talking about she wants to start her business and she's ready to get it done and she's ready to move on and she's ready to be successful. And she doesn't feel like paying a coach or whatever because she's ready for success. And she wants the success. And I'm not saying that she doesn't want to do the work, but it felt very hurried, right? And one thing that you have to understand is it doesn't happen just because you don't become a thought leader just because you go into a niche or you find something that you want to do and you start just telling people about it. No, you have to position yourself as an influencer in that. So what does that mean? So you have to become the authority on that. So if you're becoming an authority on, for example, Oprah Winfrey on providing valuable things in people's lives, you have to align yourself with other people who can provide value. Because if you think about what Oprah did, Oprah herself wasn't necessarily providing the value, but her guests did, right? And over time, Oprah actually became the conduit that showed, I mean, I'm sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? She showcased other people's talents, and because of that, she was able to build her own platform through that. Uh, and sometimes, it is intentional. And again, and what I mean by this is, I don't think that when Tyler Perry first started out, his intention was to become, the number one person. And I'm sure it was on some level, but I think his thing was to create great art. He wanted to create. Well, art is definitely subjective, but he wanted to create something that he loved, And then through creating what he loved, he built his brand. And through his brand, he became the thought leader or the influencer. And again, everyone is different, but the tenets are the same. And what does that mean? So you look at a young Mark Cuban here. His first company was, I think it was broadcast.com, but I think it was something else like audio, video net or something like that. But basically, he built a broadcast network to broadcast basketball games, I think, at Indiana University, right? So something that he was passionate about, basketball, and something else that he was passionate about, technology, he merged the two. And then he started to grow his brand through something that he created, right? So again, if you look at the three examples that I've used so far, everybody started out with something they love: Oprah talk show, Tyler Perry, film, TV, acting, Mark Cuban, technology and basketball. But again, the tenets are the same. You start with building something that you love that adds value to the people that are interested in that. And, if it adds enough value, it will start to grow. Okay. Uh-oh, with the wrong direction. Again, they found their niche. They built something that people love. They started to build traction, and through that, they became thought leaders. And it does require a certain amount of strategy and being smart about what you do and who you align yourself with, and being savvy. All right. So, how can you and me, because I'm definitely not a thought leader yet, but I'm working on that. But how can you and I become thought leaders? One of the things that we can do, and I've seen this over and over again, and I've actually done this, not even in a strategic way, but just being thankful, is to take someone's advice and become a testimonial, right? So I'm sure, you've seen shows where I listen to a ton of podcasts. And one thing that I've noticed is that when you listen to things that you learn, or if you read a book and you learn something from that book, reach out to the author and let that author know, man, your book really impacted my life. And I did what you suggested in the book. I took your advice, and, I achieved some level of success for that. Right. And then you want to set yourself apart from the fans. Like, you don't want to just be in awe of somebody. It's good to show gratitude and to be thankful for what you've learned from them, but you don't want to be a fanboy, right? You don't want to be, a deer in headlights, because they're accustomed to that. So, how can you set yourself apart from just another fan? You can do that by being a normal person. With some of the people that I have worked with, one of the things that I hear a lot is that, people are in awe of them. A friend of mine plays in NFL, and he said, sometimes he walks in the bar, sports bar, and he has more guys that are like guy groupies, I think he called them. But again, just they're regular people too, right? So, take their advice, become a testimonial, but don't be a fanboy. At least not in front of their face. And when you achieve results, make a big deal about those results. Share it with them. Do a blog about how you read this book and it affected you, and the outcome from reading this book, the three lessons that you learned from reading that book, right? So again, when you become someone's testimonial, people want, when they write books and they create art, they do it because they love it, but they also love the influence that it has on the people that are their fans. And if they do something and it influences you and helps you become successful, it actually helps them. Number one, it's an ego thing, probably partially somewhere in there. But again, make a big deal about your results, and they will want to highlight somebody that had results. Another thing that you can do, and this is again strategic, and again, you don't have to be manipulative or weird about it, but if you see someone who's doing something that you like, and they're not necessarily a superstar with it, but you guys have kindred spirits, I think is a good word that I can use. If you find somebody that's, kind of grinding like you are, partner with them, align yourself with them. Number one, it's easier to align with them before all the noise starts, right? And if you look at the NFL model or the NBA model, and I think, they start grooming some of these kids or courting some of these kids when they're in seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade, right? Before, they try to get to them before the rest of the world gets to them, so that by the time they graduate high school and they have become that bona fide star, they've already built a relationship. And also, you can help them through your platform, right? So if you're building a business, maybe there's an opportunity for you to do something to help them. Maybe you can feature them on your blog when they're just starting out, right? Because you have a platform just like they do, and you're working to build your business, just like they are. Um, and again, if you start with somebody and while they're coming up, started from the bottom while we and now we're here, whatever. Anyway, befriend them on their ascent, and people will remember that, right? Because people always remember the people that were there for them in the beginning. Uh, Again, another thing you can do is make yourself recommendable. Do you have a website up that people can say, "Hey, man, you should definitely go meet Thomas. Man, Thomas is awesome. He was the person that read my book. Go check out his website. It's Thomas Jones um, Esquire at .com." Right. So, do you have a platform that meets a certain high standard? Like if people go to your website, are they embarrassed to go to do you have a website that's a Wix website and it has wix.com/business slash whatever in the name, right? That's not, I know that's a start. Everybody has to start from somewhere, but that's not professional. You need a domain name that doesn't have it doesn't broadcast the fact that you used a free builder. And there's nothing wrong with using that free builder. But again, do you have a domain that people can remember, right? And does it look good? Do you have stock images that still have the watermark in the images, right? Do you have a professional logo? Do you have, are there things that people can say, look at you from a distance and say, okay, he's together or she's together, or at least they're on their way to being together. You don't have to be the perfect package, but you want to always put the best foot forward. Now, there is a difference between being appreciated and being recommended. So, and what I mean by that is, sometimes you can reach out to someone and tell them, that they really influenced you or whatever, and they can tell you, hey, listen, I appreciate you. I appreciate, what you do and blah, blah, blah. But that's not necessarily a recommendation, right? So, if you approach it, the right way, and you do have a platform and you do, show success, then people will, likely recommend you. And again, it's none of this is in stone. But again, I'm talking about, 80/20 here. Okay. Again, recommend is praising you in front of others. But again, when people recommend you, it puts them at risk. So are you worthy of someone saying you need to go meet that person, and then they meet you and it's a nightmare for them, and now you've ruined their reputation, or maybe not ruined, but it's, it turns out bad and it makes them look bad, right? So are you recommendable? Do you have things in place so that if someone does recommend you, then you can go out and help them or make them look good? And then I wanted to talk about just a few benefits of being a thought leader or becoming a thought leader. Number one, it helps you gain access to people, places, and platforms that you haven't imagined yet. So, again, when you meet someone who's a thought leader and you're providing value to them, they can introduce you to somebody who can totally change your world, who can totally change, the way that you view things. So again, they can totally help your business. So as you start to go down this path of becoming a thought leader, keep in mind that this can really change the way things are for you. All right. Also, it elevates your perception. Um, Again, if when people see you align with people who are successful, there's something about seeing you with successful people that just automatically brings the perception of success. And again, Oprah Winfrey is a great example. She aligned herself with a lot of the best of the best, and now she is actually the best of the best, right? You see this over and all the late night talk show hosts, right? They're funny, and a lot of them are comedians or whatever in their own right, but they elevate to superstardom when they have that platform that they can elevate others. So aligning yourself with people who are successful helps you with success. And even so, think about the music industry, right? You'll hear about, other artists that have a verse on one artist's song, or, they have an intro through one artist or a record label. And the next thing you know, they go on to start their own label, because now, it's built the perception that they are a cool person. And now when they go do something cool, people follow them as well. All right. And it also helps jumpstart the impact that you can have on people. So again, if you're starting a business and you have a picture with President Obama, and you have a picture with Oprah, and you have a picture where you're speaking in front of an audience, and then you have, you have a video online where you're adding value, um, all those things put together, it impacts your business. People want to work with you because, they're like, okay, well, what is it that that person has, that they can share with me, right? So again, it jump starts the impact that you can potentially have on people. All right. So that's pretty much it today. So what's next? What do I want you guys to do? Hopefully this was helpful. And I'm just doing this, to try to help everybody out. And these are things that I've observed. Ayana, I want to thank you for the question, and for, bringing this out today. So what do we do next? I want you guys to take action, right? So if you want to start to build your influence and start to align yourself with influential people, use some of the things that we talked about before. Become a testimonial. Make sure you have your website together. Start working on your brand, right? If you have a question, or you want me to create a presentation and do some research about a question you have in business or in relationship building or whatever, hit me up. My email is the expertleague at gmail.com. Again, this is AJ, and my forthcoming brand is the Expert League, and again, I'm working on it right now. So once it's ready, I will be launching it. But again, you can already go follow me on Instagram at the Expert League, on Facebook at the Expert League. I have a YouTube channel where this video will be, the Expert League, and on Twitter at the Expert League. Again, guys, this is AJ. Thank you so much, and I want you to tweet this or leave a comment or let me know what you think. Thank you so much, guys.